Hello, everybody. Welcome to the podcast Being Called Weird. That's what they're calling J.D. Vance, vice presidential nominee for the Republican Party. People are saying he's weird. Is he weird? That's what we're going to talk about today. And is being weird bad? All right. So before we begin, everybody, please click that subscribe button. And after you subscribe, make sure to also click the bell next to the subscribe button. Click that bell, select all, and that way you'll know when we upload future videos. All right, so let's get underway. Let's say hello to our guest and friend, Leon. How are you?
Good, Ben. How's it going, man? How's everything with you?
Good, good. Thank you for joining.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Hey, everyone, what's up?
All right, doing well. And we are talking about uh, JD Vance being called weird. Now, how did this come about? It came about like in the last week or so.
Yeah,
I
I think part of that is maybe because of the things that's going on about him making a comment about childlessness, about,
Yeah.
based on his belief, why are single women not having any child or children? So, he's getting a lot of backlash for that. He feels differently. I think it's because he's from um, a Christian faith kind of thing. I mean, he started as an evangelist, and then
Hmm.
he became like a Catholic. So he has certain beliefs. I think he was baptized back in August of 2019. So he has certain beliefs about it. So maybe a lot of people are against him, and he's getting a lot of heat from celebrities too, especially like Jennifer Aniston, for example. She doesn't have a child. So, yeah. What
But
about you? What's your take, and what do you think?
yeah, so I'm not sure why they say he's weird because I actually don't think there's much weird about him. He actually seems pretty normal and pretty self-aware. I think that he has made some provocative comments, but this is politics. It certainly is modern politics to throw these grenades, right? Because everybody wants the soundbite, everybody wants the attention, and as we all know, the news isn't really giving the news anymore, right? It's not really giving facts. It's just giving sound bites, clickbait, and slanted facts. Everything is biased, and people love. First of all, people love these little verbal grenades, and then secondly, they love to tear down the person for saying these things. Um,
Hmm.
so I think that while people are saying he's weird or he's a jerk for saying these things, they can't wait for him to say these things. They love it because it enables them to again spin things and you know get the clicks, right? But I don't think that it's weird. All the time, politicians are speaking hyperbole, and they like to be a little crazy. This is modern politics, but I actually don't think it's weird, and I think that it is actually weird for um, his dissenters to to spin it that way. And if anything, they probably put it through a focus group, like, okay, let's figure out what we can do, what we can latch onto, and let's try to do an anti-marketing campaign against the opposing party. And I feel like this whole weird thing just came out of a focus group.
Yeah, I don't know if maybe his weirdness is because he's so devoted as a religion, Christian or Catholic, and a lot of people are finding that weird now because of what you see on television, the trends and everything, and he's not considered part of what the society is. I mean, he's still very conservative, and
Yeah.
maybe that's considered his weirdness. He came from a very bad background. I mean, his mother is
Right.
a drug addict, so
Hmm.
maybe he had a little bit of that weirdness in him because, and then plus he was a Marine, so he joined the military. So, the things that he went through, and also he's married to a what interracial marriage, right?
Yeah.
With
An
an
Indian.
Indian.
Yeah.
Usha, right? So
Right.
a lot of people may find that weird and thinking that, well, wait a minute, this guy is, born in Ohio and his parents are from Kentucky, the hillbilly. He made a book and also a movie about the hillbilly and how is he ended up with, interracial marriage or something. So some people may find that weird, being in the U.S. Marines, right? So gung ho type of thing, and yeah, I think maybe all of this all kind of piles up, and of course, like I said, he's from a very torn, bad family. I mean, divorced, and I mean, he has a lot of things going on in his life. Yeah.
Well, he has often claimed to be a social outsider, and exactly what you said. He came from a very tumultuous childhood background, right? He lived in the poorest of the poor in America. I mean, just really a screwed up family, really screwed up family dynamic, just absolute trash, right? In the
Hmm.
environment he grew up in. And so he's very unlike maybe a lot of these politicians who um, they come from elite families. They were born with a silver spoon in their mouth, that kind of thing. He's not that at all. He
Hmm.
came, he came from nothing, and he's now in the same sort of playing field with these other people. And I wonder if that isn't in some way there's some sort of jealousy there, because the other thing is that I don't think to be called weird is necessarily bad, which is why I also think it's strange that they're putting so much weight on this adjective of someone being weird when haven't we haven't we always been told that maybe being weird is actually not a bad thing? Being different, isn't that essentially what being American is being different, uh, having a maybe a minority point of view that is not only respected but encouraged. We're encouraged to be different. So I'm not sure why they're placing so much power on this word, or even that Democrats think that by calling this guy weird, that's going to in some way damage him. Where for me, when I hear them say that he's weird, when I hear them calling him that, all I think is, okay, why are you calling somebody weird? This is a strange word to use anyway, because it doesn't really have a whole lot of power. It doesn't really pack that much punch. And yet at the same time, it really asks you to sort of look deeper to see what exactly do they mean. And when you look more into his life and where he comes from, you see that he's really not that weird. In fact, he's probably quite the opposite of that.
Yeah, and you touched in that base about jealousy. I mean, the Democrats, I think they're jealous of his accomplishment, and he's very smart individual. I mean, I don't see nothing wrong with weird. Everybody has their weirdness. I mean, you and I
Sure.
and everybody else out there, and it just shows that we have an identity, right? It separates us from everybody from around the world. We have to have an identity of our own. So that's what weirdness is about. I think the jealousy part of the Democrats because he is a very intelligent individual. I mean, he graduated from Yale in law school, and I think his first year he had full scholarship in his first year. So, I mean,
Right.
can you imagine that having full scholarship in Yale University? I mean, that's something to talk about. And from
Hmm.
what you just said, he described from a very poor family, Kentucky. I mean, you can't get any American than that. I mean, Kentucky in a small town in a hillbilly. I mean, that goes a lot of ancestries and heritage and history behind it. So, um, he's just a smart individual. He's very intellectual. I mean, his beliefs may find him weird because, like I said, him being conservative, the Democrats consider that as weird because really the Democrats aren't conservative at all, right? So you
Yes.
see what kind of propaganda they're trying to push and things, and you know, um, like the gender, right? The gender movement, allowing male genders go into women's sport, or
Yeah.
the
There's not. Yeah. Like, there's
transgender
nothing
end up
weird about
pushing that.
that.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, and
Ridiculous.
for them saying, well, he's not on board,
Yeah.
JD's not on board, so they consider that as weird. So I mean, do your research and about JD. I mean, you'll know more about him. And yeah, there are things that you probably disagree, but everybody disagrees on everything anyhow. So why not?
The Democrats have weaponized this word weird, right? Thinking that it's going to really reduce him in some way. But really, I think that, well, it's lame, it's cringeworthy, and I think that it just really just reminds you of like elementary school banter, you know?
Hmm.
and and this and while yes, I understand that politics has gone that direction where everything's sort of down a level. Okay, I get that. But I just don't. I think that if you are going to throw a grenade, if you're a Democrat, you're going to throw a grenade. Wouldn't you throw one that detonated a little bit more aggressively, that just sort of, you know, covered a wider area in your damage rather than just throw? Weird is like weak sauce, right? Like, come on,
Hmm.
that's the best you got, right?
Yeah, maybe because he has a family, and nowadays, they don't consider his family. They consider it's maybe weird having a family, especially with three children, right? I mean, nowadays you only have one or maybe two, and maybe because he has three children, and because interracial. I mean, there's all kinds of things that the Democrats will use. It's like you said, politics is what are they going to use? They're going to use everything that they can to bring down their opponent, right? Their
Yeah.
adversary. So they want to do whatever they can to tarnish his reputation and his image. So, and no better way but to do that because you can't bring him up. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of things bad about JD Vance, but I think there's more good than bad, in my opinion.
Hmm. Yeah. So yeah, I don't know if it's working. I think that for maybe Democrats, maybe it's keeping them engaged in this idea and the narrative that he is not good for the country. However, I think that just establishing somebody as weird, even if you get people to believe it, I don't think it's going to, in other words, if you have a voter who may go either way, right? A swing voter. I don't think
Hmm.
that somebody who's been successfully labeled as weird is going to get them to change their mind. Because look, here's the thing. Ultimately, people are going to vote for who they think is going to do well for the country, or who they resonate with. And just because somebody's weird, I don't think that's enough to dissuade somebody to vote for them. Because haven't we all at some time or another felt ourselves weird? If anything, I think that it enables people to identify with this person, that, oh, he's been called weird, so have I, and we're going to rise above that. We're not going to give in to the stupid juvenile name calling, right?
Hmm.
So
Right.
I don't think it's very effective.
No. And for me, I think he'd be a great candidate. I mean, maybe in the future president candidate. I mean, he has a great background. He's an attorney from Yale. So that means he's a great speaker.
Yeah.
He knows how to talk like Barack Obama because Barack Obama is also an attorney too, right? So, but the difference between him and the other attorneys like Clinton, Barack, Bush, and Biden, they're all attorneys, right?
Yes.
The difference between JD and among those what I just said is that he has a business background. So he understands the business because he had like a private equity kind of firm. So in Silicon
Yeah.
Valley and things. So for me, that's a great thing because he can see in a business standpoint and how he can move the United States in a business standpoint and how to negotiate. And this is what Trump has too, because Trump is a businessman, and that's why Eric Trump and was that Trump Jr.
Yeah.
also advocated for JD to really push him to be the vice president candidate for Trump because they really like this guy. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm not sure that calling somebody weird is just effective enough. I mean, if you're a Democrat, maybe there are many more reasons to dislike him, but certainly his personality, if you think is weird, is not sufficient. I think it's not a strong enough reason, and it
Yeah.
doesn't hold a lot of water. Um,
Hmm.
but but in fact, I don't think he's weird at all. I mean, he's led a pretty conventional life, right?
Yeah.
Uh, very, of course, yes, he pulled himself up from nothing, but then he also, he married, has two kids. What is what is more normal than that? Is that like the typical like nuclear family, that may be antiquated word, but that's so typical, right? Get married,
Yeah.
two kids, two cars
Yeah.
in the
He has three
garage.
kids.
What else? Oh,
Yeah.
three kids. Okay,
Yeah. Hmm.
this is very typical.
Hmm.
Nothing weird about that.
Yeah. Yeah. I'd like
Uh,
to hear what the audience have to say about this because, see what they think about this weirdness and what they think about JD, what they know about him. I'm sure a lot of people out there are not familiar with JD, and I like to hear what their point of view is.
Absolutely. Leave a comment, guys. We want to know. Do you think he's weird? Do you think he's not weird? Do you think him being called weird is a desperate, pathetic attempt to, character assassinate him, or do you think that it actually is a good strategy? Let us know. Leave a comment, and also make sure you click that subscribe button. Everybody, support this video. I hope you're enjoying this podcast so far. Click that thumbs up, really appreciate it, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button. All right, so let's get back to our topic. Is JD Vance weird? So far we've said that he's not weird. What is the reason that the Democrats are saying that he is weird? Just because of the childless cat lady comment? I mean, that's the perfect example of hyperbole, a grenade. It's actually kind of funny, if you think about, like, outside of the context of who he is, or maybe out of the political context, nobody would ever have a problem with that. They would just laugh. But all of a sudden, it just totally got out of control, I think.
Yeah. Maybe because they find him weird because he changed his name, his last name, and I think it's very common for Americans to change their last names. I mean, he was born as what? JD Bowman, right? I mean, his name is James Donald Bowman. That's what JD stands for, James Donald. So then he changed it to Vance, which is under his mom, Beverly Carroll Vance, right? Because his father and mother got divorced, so he changed his last name to Vance. But I think when he was in military, he had a different name. I think his name was something like JD, James D. Hamill when he joined
Didn't
when
know
he
that.
was a corporal in the Marines. So, you know, maybe because he's constantly changing his identity or his name, and they find him to be weird. I mean, Democrat will find things to just, to twist things around and get things twisted. Yeah.
The thing of it is you have to consider where, his background. Once again, he came from abject poverty, nothing, and you don't wonder why he maybe has some identity issues, right? Because again, he comes from nothing.
Hmm.
Who he is very interesting, because like who he is now, you would never think he came from what he came from, right? It's almost like he's been sanitized. He's been put through the machine. It's like, those
Hmm.
pasta rolling machines. You put in your dough, and it rolls out a beautiful sheet resembling nothing like the dough that you put in, right? So he's
Hmm.
like, yeah, he's been pressed and morphed into something completely different. And so, and he's now amongst people where he feels, has probably always felt like a social outsider, as he has said in interviews, because he comes from a place that is so different from other senators, from other politicians, and he's reached a certain level of success that many people in his community never reach. They don't even dare to dream, because it's very easy to say, oh, everybody can dream big. But I think that when you come from such abject poverty and absolute nothingness, abysmal
Hmm.
darkness like that, you don't even know how to dream like that, nor do you dare to dream like that. And yet he's reached that dream that his people, where he comes from, wouldn't even know how to dream. And so I think that he he's just a great success story. And I think that if there is an identity crisis, is it really a surprise, right? And so,
Yeah.
and as you mentioned, a lot of Americans, they do change their name for various reasons. Maybe it's I don't know, what was his relationship with his father? Do you happen to know? Or
I don't think he had any. I mean,
okay.
his parents were divorced when he was a toddler. So his father died. I think he died at 96 years old or something like that. But I really don't know a whole lot how his relationship with his father. But yeah,
Do you think they're also characterizing him as weird because he said anti-Trump things in the past 10 years ago, whatever, and now he's
yeah.
made a, about face, and he's now, not only obviously endorsing Trump, but his running mate. So, but here's the thing, right? I don't think it's weird at all to change one's mind.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but they're making it like, oh, because you said this, it's almost like you said this, now you've got to commit to this statement for the rest of your life. Come
Yeah,
on. What is
right.
that?
Yeah. I mean, people are has the right to change their mind. They make a mistake. People knows that if they make a mistake, they own up to it. So he knew he made a mistake. During that time with Trump, everybody was against Trump because of the things that he said, and then afterwards, when he left office, they realized, okay, he wasn't that bad. He did a lot of things during the economy and for the people, and his main goal is to make America great. That's what he's been, uh, saying all throughout his campaign, and he probably realized that we share the same value, right, as Trump. So like I said, he's very religious, probably like Trump. He's an evangelist and turned into a Catholic, and you see his kids, and his wife is very educated too. It's a lawyer, Yale. They met there. So I think this is a big thing. I mean, I think it's just pure jealousy, is like what you mentioned. The Democrats are jealous because he's so young. I don't know. I think what's his age? 40 or 42 years old,
He
and
just turned
he's a
40
senator. Yeah, okay, 40. So he's a senator. And that he was just a senator of last year. Imagine that.
in his 30s.
2023, just 1 year in his 30s. First
Mm.
year, and then he's already a vice president candidate. I mean,
Oh, that's not going
that's
to
you
sit
gotta
well with
be
people.
yeah, you got to be like people jealous, especially with the senators and the people in the politics world and politicians, and they strive to for years to be a VP candidate, and
Yes.
some people are there 20 years, 25 years, and never even had that VP candidate. So for sure that there's jealousy in there, even though they may say something, but they'll they'll stab you in the back. They'll be smiling in your face, and when you turn around, they'll say bad things about you. So, um, for him to be at that young age, to be a vice president candidate, and really great chance of being a vice president because of uh, how it's going now. Yeah, he's gonna get a lot of heat. Yeah.
Sure. And I would actually go out on a limb and defend him in that, you know what? I don't think that he made a mistake by denouncing Trump 10 years ago. If that is how he felt
Mhm.
at the time, fine,
Yeah.
say it. That's fine. In fact, I would think that shows strength of character to be able to say, you know what, I said these things 10 years ago. I believed it at that time. I also
Hmm.
have come to find, I've also come upon other facts, new facts about this person. And so I am going to change my feelings, about this person. That's totally fine. And I think that's honest. And I think there's nothing wrong. And I don't think that he did anything wrong to speak poorly of Trump 10 years ago. I
Yeah.
don't think it's bad for him to change his mind. People do. Events change, right? Events change.
Hmm.
Things are constantly evolving. In fact, I would be worried to elect somebody who believes one thing in a way that is just totally just stubborn and obstinate and immovable, to be immovable on something and not adapt to changing conditions and to changing and this new reality, right? So
Hmm.
you have to be worried about those people who just you know they take one position and that's it. I'm not going to listen to nor entertain anything else. I refuse to see how things are evolving, how our country is evolving. I'm not going to change my thoughts nor my proclamations. It's always going to be like this. I think those people are dangerous, right?
Yes,
I think
I
people who
agree.
are willing to evolve and see the evolution of our country, the evolution of people and human beings in general, and adapt their own behavior to the new and current landscape. Those are the minds and the people that we need.
Hmm. And who hasn't changed their mind, right, about
Oh,
something? I
yeah,
mean,
exactly.
we're all human. We make mistakes, and I don't see why we can't. I mean, it can't be always like politically correct. I mean, the Democrats are just finding ways and saying, whatever they can use to chop them down and bring them down so that they can have a better chance of winning. Because, again, Biden stepped down is only a few months, and they're using whatever tactic in order for Kamala Harris to go ahead and win the campaign. And sometimes I don't even know if it's fake news that, they're saying that now Kamala Harris is equal to Trump's, poll. And I think that's probably fake news. I think they're just using that to try and build up her status. Um, but yeah, some things about weirdness about maybe JD is, like I said, he's in religious, so he's against abortion, same-sex marriage. He's also opposes gun control. So a lot of these people don't don't agree to that. Gender affirming care for minors. He's totally opposes that. So, um, and a lot of people may find that weird, especially the Democrats. Yeah.
Right. And if we're talking about weird, how about the fact that Kamala Harris has accepted the nomination, and yet for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, she has not even given any interviews, right? Is that not weird?
Yeah.
Whereas
Right. Exactly.
you got JD Vance, he's out there, he's hustling, he's working, he's, every single day, they're doing something. There's
Yeah.
no rest. But this is what I think is very interesting. Talk about really, like, they say, if you really want it, you got to go get it. I feel like they're doing it. They're going and they're getting it, right?
Hmm. Yeah, and I mean, just take a step back. I mean, I saw something on a video, and you see Trump's rally, and what are the people are doing there? They're singing about the anthem, right? Or God
Yeah.
bless America, right?
Yeah.
And this is
Yeah.
under Trump's campaign. And then you look at Kamala Harris, and she's doing like rap and female twerking and
Is she?
do
Is she really?
you I mean, yeah, she had, I don't know who
What?
was this artist, this rapper, and they were
Oh.
performing, and these women were like a whole line, and they were twerking, and this was her campaign. And you look at yourself and you just take a step back, and who do you want to lead our country if you were an American, or let's say whatever your president is in, candidate in your country, and you see two things, I mean, it's one and the other one is conservative and the other one is extreme. And I don't want that extreme. I mean, you should be focused on what your country is going to be better in doing, right? Whether the future
Hmm.
of the people, the citizens, and yeah, and the beliefs, and that's what a lot of Americans are thinking. So a lot of them are waking up and realizing that, hey, maybe this is what I want, maybe this is what I should follow, and some of them, they just believe that whatever the news media says, I think I saw one also that one person says, well, I don't like Trump because he lies too much and he lies. Oh, I
Uh,
believe Biden because he tells the truth. I
oh,
mean,
because, oh,
how
for
stupid are
God's
you?
sakes.
I mean, how stupid are you? Every politicians lie, right?
Yeah,
And for
yeah,
you
yeah.
to say that Biden tells the truth, I mean, that tells me what kind of an American are you? Are you really doing? I mean, this kind of tells you of the education of a lot of Americans in the United States. They're actually voting for US. And
Oh,
for
for
me,
God's
this is
sakes.
really, and some people say, well, I'm only voting for Kamala because she's black. What else? Because she's
Yeah.
black. Why do you want to vote for her? Because she's black. Really? This is the only reason why you want to vote for her? You're not seeing what, her beliefs are, the future of America, just because she's black. Whether she's maybe a extremist and maybe a communist doesn't matter to you as long as
Yeah.
she's black. For me, it's like that's ridiculous. Yeah.
Well, I had said before in another podcast, politics, it's
Yeah.
just very much like prison. Everything is in prison. Everything is very just deconstructed, lowest common denominator. Everybody just votes by the most base level thing, right? So like you said,
Mhm.
people are going to vote for her just because she's black, and then you don't wonder why she's been accused of working the whole black thing, right? But
Mhm.
then I don't. But
Yeah.
at the same time, I don't blame her for doing that. We all need to use every weapon in our arsenal. But it's just very interesting how you have people who are firing this bullet about with the weird thing, and then yet really they're gonna be hit by their own bullet when that bullet ricochets because um, you know you look at Kamala Harris. Oh, she's not weird. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
Right.
she's at a rally in Georgia. All of a sudden, she's speaking with a southern accent, and now obviously she didn't speak like that during the whole rally. But I don't know. I feel like it's pandering and it's cheesy and it's gross when you speak in a way that is not you just because you want you're pandering to people, right? And it's kind of talking down to people at the same time. When it's so not you. So it's just
Mhm.
you know I think that you got to be careful about the insults that you hurl at people. If they're not super directed, then you're gonna get you're gonna get caught in your own ricochet in your own bullet. So I
Yeah.
think that is going to happen. That's going to happen because it's going to come right back at them
Mhm. Yeah,
like a
I mean, I
boomerang.
can agree with, yeah, I can agree about Kamala Harris going ahead and saying that, using whatever arsenal she can to try and win. I mean, whatever you're going to use, whatever
Oh no, I said that, not
tactics.
her.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
sure
you
I am
said
sure
that. Yeah.
she's thinking that. I'm sure they're thinking
Yeah.
that. Yes.
Yeah, you mentioned about that, but at the same time, it shows you what kind of a character she is. For me, it's like I don't want to just use whatever I have and show, okay, because I'm this, I'm gonna ahead and use it. But yet I'm like, like she's too, what is it, too
Two.
cultural, right? Bicultural, right?
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
So she's like Indian and black, but yet she's just saying black, okay, because I'm black and this, but yet she forgets about Indian. I mean, for me, it shows what kind of character she'll just like what they say, she's a chameleon. She's changing from one to another. I mean, for me, in order to build your character, you got to stay true to yourself and say, I'm Indian, I'm Indian and Black America, you know, African Black. So I'm going to be proud of who I am, and I'm going to use that to showcase and show everyone that this is who I am, not just favor one just because you want the vote. I mean, for me, it's about the sincerity, integrity, and all of that, dignity. So honor, and I mean, for her to be in that kind of a public eye, I think she needs to adapt to that. Yeah, and not like whatever it takes to win an election. For me, is like tells me about her character. She'll do anything to win, and when she becomes president, she'll do anything to keep her presidency, or you know, maybe better for her and not really for the people. Yeah. For me, it's like a two-face, And do you want a president who's going to be a two-face? It's not say tell you promises, make promises, and say, okay, I'm going to do this for the citizen and for the people, and then turn around and don't do it. Yeah, because she's already proved herself that she's either black or she's Indian. Yeah.
So she is half Indian. Her mother, her dad
Mm-hmm.
is her dad is Jamaican.
Mm,
Um,
okay.
yeah. So can we say that her dad's can we say that she's actually Caribbean, or do Caribbeans
Yeah,
consider
it
them?
would be a Caribbean. It wouldn't
Yeah.
be
Do
African
they?
American. No.
You're right. So is she then not black? Is she just actually Caribbean Indian? Because I do Jamaicans consider
Yes,
themselves black?
yes, they're Caribbean black. Yeah. I
Oh,
mean, if you
okay.
say black, I think black is black of Africa, everything as long as
I think
black.
African
But
American. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, if she was born, she's considered African American if she's born in US, so she has to be because she's
Mm.
running for presidency. So I would say that she is African American, but even though she is Jamaican, so part Jamaican, so probably instead of African American, she is African Jamaican American. I don't
Whatever.
know.
But I
Yeah.
guess you can say it. You know what? Either both sides are unlikable, or both sides are likable. So whatever.
I would say she's African American because she is an American, and
Mm.
they describe as African American. So for me, she's African American because she's born in America. So yeah.
Okay. Okay. All right. So, any further points about JD Vance being weird? I think I would say that my final point about this whole weirdness thing is I just don't think he's weird. I really don't. I really think, if anything, he's such the opposite of weird. He's like so normal, almost like formulaic, rising from nothing, and being the, becoming the epitome of the American dream, the success story, right? Like there's nothing weird about it.
Yeah. I mean, maybe people think he's weird because he's, wrote that book Hillbilly and he's from Kentucky and usually, they call what trailer trash or something like that.
Oh
So,
yeah, right.
um,
He is, yeah, it does come
maybe
from that.
yeah, I mean, maybe that's why they're saying this, but I think it's because of his comments about childlessness and the things that he believes in and him being such a conservative, especially in the young politician age to be up there. And I don't think he's weird at all. I agree with you. I think they're just using whatever tactic and means to discredit him and bring him down and uh, you know, take advantage of his politician status and whatever, falsify his name and his reputation and things like that. They'll do whatever it takes to bring him down. Yeah.
Yes, yeah, I really do think that it was something that they just dreamt up
Yeah.
in a meeting, in a focus group, in a meeting, campaign meeting. What are we gonna do today? How are we gonna? What is the plan? That's, they just came up with.
Hmm.
Okay, let's go with. Somebody said let's go with weird. Uh, you know, just so
Yeah.
anyway.
Hmm.
So let us know what you think. Please leave a comment. Do you think JD Vance is weird? Do you like him? Do you dislike him? Leave a comment. And also, please, if you're still here, I'm assuming you enjoyed the video. In that case, please give this video a thumbs up. We would really appreciate it. And also, please subscribe. Click the subscribe button, and also right next to the subscribe button, there's a bell. Click on that and select all. By doing that, YouTube will show you future videos we upload. You've got to select the bell and click all, guys. Otherwise, YouTube will not show you future videos. Very strange, but that's how it works. So click the bell, select all. All right, thank you so much for joining us. We look forward to seeing you guys in the next podcast. Leon, thank you so much for this great conversation.
Yeah, thank you, Ben, for having me. See y'all later. Ciao.
See y'all later. Bye-bye.